Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are breaking down the 2024 Canmore real estate market as a complete whole. We're going to talk about some statistics where we compare it over 2020. We're going to go, or sorry, 2023. We're going to go way back. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video so we can give you the 15-year average and how it compares to what we're looking at now, because it's interesting for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So do you want to start it off?
Sounds good. So let's just talk about 23 to 24 and sold listings. So in 2023, we had 517 properties sell. In 2024, we had 503. So we're down 2.71% as far as numbers go. But still, like we've been talking all year, kind of, level. New listings in 23, we had 702, 690 in 2024. And again, that's down 2.71%. So we're seeing a little less sales and a little less new listings, which is kind of trending since COVID.
In my opinion, that's as close as you're going to get to being the same. I mean, we're talking about a 2.7% and a
Yeah.
1.7%.
And it'll be interesting when you share the average sale price data
Mhm.
because, yes, less sales, less listings, but the
Yeah.
prices.
So first of all, let's jump into days on market. 2023, we had 41 days on market, average days on market to sale. In 2024, we had 51. So that's up, taking longer to sell, but it's up just about 26%.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see it take a little bit longer, 10 days longer. It's not really that significant. Average sale price. Let's talk about
Yeah.
this. This is where it gets interesting. 2023, we had an average sale price of just over $1,058,000. And in 2024, we had an average sale price of about 1.15. So that's up 8.5%.
Right. And we will get into
Yeah.
that later on
Mhm.
in the video. So the sold to ask ratio, again, really, really close, 99%, almost 100%. And again, keeping in mind there'd be some short-term rental GST in that,
Yeah.
but also in the 2024 data, 98.5%. So again, down just over 1% difference from 23 to 24. The square foot price, very similar, 853 to 813. It's really tough to take a square foot price and go, hey, this is what your square foot price is, because you're talking about new builds, you're talking about, when we're comparing 23 to 24 and some of the things that happened in 23. So if you want to understand the square foot market price, um, get a hold of us.
Yeah.
We can walk you through specifically what square foot prices look like depending on what type of property you're looking at in the market. So
Mhm.
that just gives you a little bit of a breakdown of the market as a whole. So maybe you want to go into breaking down specific properties.
Sure. We'll start off with single family homes. So we had 81 sales in 2024. This is strictly 2024 data. The average sale price coming in at just over $2 million. The average square foot price, $767 a foot. As Kevin mentioned, this is just an average. Average days on the market, 59 days.
Right. So which is a little bit higher than
The
the
average.
average for the year, right?
Correct.
So half duplexes, 37 sales, just over 1.6 million, $656 a square foot and 51 days on the market. So bang on what the market is telling us.
Yeah. Townhouses, 117 sales for an average sale price of $1,058,000. Average square foot price, $686 a foot. And it took an average of 46 days on the market to sell those.
And that's changed over the year,
Mhm.
like townhouses at the start of the year, if you remember, were a little bit slower to sell.
Yeah.
So they
Well,
seem to be
it's
moving a little
interesting
quicker.
that townhouses lead the way in sales,
In the average days on the market?
just in sales period.
Oh, yeah, yeah, on how many sales
Yeah.
over the year.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it
It's
is, it is.
becoming popular.
And that's only the last half of the year,
Right.
right? Because earlier on in the year, I remember us talking about townhouses being, a little bit slower, sitting on
Yeah.
the market a little, and half duplexes.
Totally.
But, they seem to have picked up throughout the year. So apartments, 110 sales in 2024, 759,000 and change was the average sale price, $718 a square foot and 52 days on the market.
Hotel condos, we'll move into the short-term rental sector now. 111 sales. Average sale price 783,000. Average square foot price $1,044, and the average days on the market was 53. Now, keep in mind when you roll into tourist home, and I want to educate the people who are watching this. The short-term rental market, hotel condos probably consist of 85% of the inventory that we have across the board, whether it's for sale or sold or not. There's just way more that exist. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Tourist home, 39 sales in 2024, 1.2 million, just over $1,036 a square foot and 41 days on the market. So that is interesting to me because tourist homes always outperformed as far as square foot price by $100 or so a square foot. That gap has really narrowed. And I think that's partly in parcel because the tourist home zoning is starting to change as far as the classification in Canmore. And if you need more information on that, we did have a video on that, so you can look at that and get some more information about it and ask us because tourist home designation is changing for sure. And I think the market's reflecting it already.
Yeah. Well, I think this is where it's important to reference the average square foot price.
Right.
Because people see tourist home and they go 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Oh, those are worth so much more money. I'm going to buy a tourist home, or so on and so forth. Well, tourist homes are they're usually more the townhouse style. They're the 4 bedrooms. They're all of these units. Obviously, there's Spring Creek and Canmore Crossing that's separate.
Town,
but
I mean,
the average square foot price shows you that hotel condo and tourist home, they have very similar value.
yes.
So some people come in and they go, oh, I'm going to buy a hotel condo or a tourist home because one's cheaper, or tourist home adds more value because you potentially have more flexibility. Well, it's not necessarily the case.
No.
So if you're looking for an investment property to short-term rent, don't feel like you have to go tourist home because
for sure.
At the end of the day, there's not a difference there that's substantial.
And usage becomes what your usage is going to be, and what you have designated your short-term rental for will dictate a little bit about where you might want to think about buying and what type of property. So
totally. Well, that's a breakdown of the specific property types for 2024. Now, I think we're just going to have a complete little debrief of what we saw. We'll talk about the average sale price and how it's changed over the last 15 years, which so it should, but we're more so talking about the percentage of the growth rate.
yeah.
Let's break down the market. What do we see happening? Where are we anticipating this going?
Well, it's interesting because we tend to talk about COVID.
Yeah.
And what happened in COVID and what we perceived might happen when we were in COVID. And we were just getting started on our video stuff then, and it was not as dialed as we feel we have it now. But COVID really changed the market, where it grew substantially, and we didn't see that coming.
Yeah. 19%.
Yeah, like 19%. And so I think the market, and we talked about it kind of leveling off over the last, couple of years. And this year we saw an increase of sale price of 8.5%. And when you compare it to what happened in 2020, where we saw this huge increase, of 19%, people might go, oh, well, that doesn't seem right. How come? Well, I think what we have to look at is, and we went back 15 years, and we said, how does the 8.5% compare over a 15-year average? And we've actually grown. The average over 15 years is just over 6%, and we did 8.5% this year. So I think we're starting to get back to, that normal 6 to 8 to 9% increase year over year. And that's probably a sweet spot. If we're sustainable, if we're talking about, north of 9 and 10% all the time, we become very unaffordable very quickly. And so I think that's a very important, it'll be interesting to see what happens going into 25.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at some data and just the sales that come out, you know, I mean, even in Dead Man's Flats,
Mhm.
you know, we had houses that were sitting. Well, we've got 3 conditional offers
Yeah.
on 3 houses, you know, north of 1.5 million.
Mhm.
I was talking to a builder here yesterday, and he, you know, got an unconditional offer on a property in Three Sisters.
Mhm.
So that things are starting to take shape, and we'll see what happens, you know, over the next few months, and then into, you know, there are some factors to talk about and think about. We're coming into an election year.
Mhm.
You know, whatever your views are on that is what it is. But we're coming into an election year. What's that going to do? We have, you know, the U.S. getting a new president, and what's that going to do?
Mhm.
What are interest rates going to do?
Mhm.
You know, so there's lots of factors moving into to 2025. But I think overall, we've seen the market sustain a 6% increase year over year over the last 15 years. That's positive going forward
Mhm. Yeah.
in the Canmore
Yeah.
market. Yeah.
And I think that is a positive number. And then when you look at the last 5 years, and
Mm.
you're seeing that between 8 and 9,
Yes.
excluding COVID,
Yes.
the 19%. If you take that out, you know, you're averaging that 8 to 9%, which is what I see anticipating moving into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that number just makes sense. It's kind of what we've been, you know, seeing for the last 5 years, trending that way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure. I mean, the positive thing at the end of the day is that from through all these years, COVID, you know, the different price changes, the growth, the popularity that Canmore has gotten from 2010 to 2024, there hasn't been one single year where the average sale price has gone down
No,
from the year previous.
no, it's growing. It might have been flat a couple of years, but it's
Right. It's still going
it's
2%
still,
or whatever.
yeah,
We don't see the average sale price
not in the
drop
last
year over
15
year. So
years.
it's a very safe market. I mean, unlike, and I'm not using this as an example, but for example, when you're out in Toronto,
Mm,
you had the COVID year, and then you had things selling for like 200 grand less for what the people bought it for the year before.
yeah,
We haven't seen that
no,
here. And obviously with Three Sisters, the development that's happening there, it's going to be cool to see how Canmore changes 10 years from now,
yeah,
what those prices are going to look like, because there's a lot of inventory that's coming
there is.
in 10 years.
And, you know, we've seen inventory actually drop, but what will that look like
Yeah.
2, 5, 10 years from now? It'll be really interesting to monitor and see and look at the data. You know, like we were talking before the video, I would really like to dive into historical data. I mean, 2013 was the flood here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we talked about 6% average growth, and we had a flood in 2013, and we still saw growth. We didn't see,
Yeah.
you know, a negative impact. And so I'm really excited to see what happens in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. Well, I think we don't need to dive into anything deeper than that. If you want more information or you want the data yourself, reach out to us. There's a ton of information that we didn't share today that's also eligible to get your hands on. So reach out to us or send us a comment in the description below, and we'll provide that to you directly. Meanwhile, we're going to still be coming at you with monthly market updates moving into the new year here. And we wish everybody a ton of success this year and health and wellness. And we'll talk to you soon, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks
Thanks
for
for tuning
watching.
in. Yep. Bye.